I recently switched from console to computer and have zero experience playing with a keyboard and mouse. I mean literally none. Everything I've ever played with has been with a controller. I wanted a crash course to get up to speed, and what better game than the fast-paced FPS Overwatch 2. The challenge is to train using aim labs and Overwatch pubs for 48 hours, and at the end I will try and get the highest ranking I can on competitive. I don't know what to expect. I want to aim higher than bronze, which is the lowest of the low. It goes bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, master and grandmaster. Each tier has 5 divisions, 5 being the lowest and 1 being the highest. If I could get to silver, then I would be happy. Gold was pushing it, and beyond that was no chance. For this challenge I'll be using only one hero. The hero I used for the brief time I played Overwatch 1. thorbjorn, or thorbjorn, or whatever he's called. When I first booted up the game I was like a lost sheep. I could not even move properly without finger bashing the left side of the keyboard. The tutorial was painful to complete. I decided to stay away from public matches for a moment and focus on my aim in aim labs. Being a controller player, I always figured mouse aiming was as easy as clicking on a button. I was wrong. I was wooden with my movement and stuttering between shots. After about half an hour I was beginning to get the hang of it, and the motion was much more fluent. I then realised, being thorbjorn, that my rivet gun was delayed, and I would have to aim where the enemy will be, and not where they are. So I went into Overwatch 2 in game training and began shooting bots, swaying left and right and getting in the groove of moving and shooting. I also spent some time following a target while moving, something that is harder than it looks. Using my pinky finger to lay a turret seemed so awkward, as well as reloading with the R button. What I didn't realise when I set this challenge is that the kind folks over at Overwatch 2 require 50 wins to qualify for competitive. Not 50 matches, but 50 wins. The challenge was nearly over before it began, so I went on a dizzying marathon of Overwatch 2. Nearly 13 hours in total. I was leaving every game I think I couldn't win, and doing my best not to get slaughtered. I was carried most of the time by my team or my turret. After the 7-hour mark I was beginning to make progress. Nearly on 20 wins, the future of the challenge was looking up. I was getting better with his delayed gun, and my turrets went from being destroyed in seconds to being strategically placed and cleaning up passive kills. I was beginning to work out where thorbjorn was most effective. Behind a couple tanks, spamming lines of sight and relying on their turret. The times I didn't have the tanks and the enemy team did, I would get steamrolled and do terrible. The last 3 hours I was in a daze, but also on a roll, putting up some big numbers for me anyway, and finally getting to the sacred 50 win mark. My hands were cramped and my eyes felt like they had blisters on them, but I had done it. It was late in the night, but I had to carry on. It was time to try and get at least a silver tier. Getting good at games take time. Muscle memory and experience can't be rushed. And it showed. I went on an epic losing streak, 10 straight losses. In those 10 games I came to the same conclusion that many frustrated Overwatch players have. If the enemy team have this guy, Magneto, or the Soul Reaver guy, and your team don't have them, you're probably going to lose. Add the fact that every team I was on in those 10 losses only wanted to be damage heroes, plus my very limited experience with keyboard and mouse made it not a fun experience. I was always putting up good damage and the kills were half decent, but I could not win. I thought it was chalked, but then I got my first win. Oasis. Perfect for thorbjorn's molten core and spam in crowded angles. 28 kills and over 13k damage. Pretty good for me. We're on the scoreboard. Then I got a win in New Queen Road. 24 kills, 7k damage. My third win was a return to Oasis. The same tactics paid off. 34 kills and 21k damage. I was on a roll and I was not going to stop there. Rialto was my fourth. With 31 kills and 11k damage, this was one of my best games, and I had strong tanks in front of me and healers. I just sat back dealing damage and picking up kills in my turret. The next 2 was very lackluster. My team was just too strong, which was something you shouldn't complain about. Dorado, 11 kills and 5k damage. It was over before I could get going. The same thing happened in the 6th match in Nepal. 14 kills and 9k damage. 6 wins in a row and the next game was at one of my favourite maps, Eichenwald. 33 kills and 20k damage. I was frying to my standard anyway, and I was pretty fluent in movement. Thorbjorn seems to be the kind of hero that once you get his timing down, he's a great hero to be. Towards the end I was starting to get that feeling, and to be honest I was very hopeful for my ranking. I had done it. In 2 days I went on a 13-hour binge to get competitive unlocked, and another 3 hours of competitive. With no experience with a keyboard and mouse, I was pretty proud of my results. And I got silver 2. I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was gonna be a bit higher. Maybe because I was doing so good in the last 7 matches, forgetting about the 10 losing streak I'd done before it. Overall I'm happy with where I placed considering my experience, and Thorbjorn seems to be a hit and miss character, dangerous in small corridors and spaces and less effective in open maps. Since this challenge I have used some other heroes, and I do think he was a hard hero to try and climb the ranks with no experience. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this challenge, and let me know if you main Thorbjorn and what your rank is. I'll see you next time.